Hello YouTube and welcome to another review, and this time we have Waterloo's Folgore Division, Infantry 1942. Although these are paratroopers, I've got no doubt about it. Definitely paratroopers. Now Waterloo, I don't know much about the company. This is the first set I've ever reviewed, and it's probably the first set I've ever bought of Waterloo's. I actually more or less think of them doing Waterloo subject matter, but no, they do quite an extensive list of World War II figures and Italian soldiers. It's quite, I don't know why they're so obscure, but they are. And in North Africa they were just everywhere. I mean, the British were up against the Italians way before Rommel and his Africa Corps showed up, so it's quite an important subject matter. And they do these in 172. Now the cover is of a 172 box set, and that comes with artillery, which is a 47mm anti-tank gun, and you do not get this in this 132 set, but you do in the 172 set. So just in case the cover sort of fools you. But there's no anti-tank gun in this set. So what you're seeing on the cover isn't slightly true. There's a lot going on there, but it's sort of inaccurate in that sense. But other things are correct. Like this fella, for instance, he's definitely in the box. And, more or less, there's a few of these guys with the Beretta submachine gun. So it's not exactly bad in that sense, but there's no anti-tank gun, so I'll just make that clear. Box art, I quite like it. I really do. I think it's quite good. And the box is very nice in itself as well. It's a nice big box. The artwork's brilliant. And there's no actual description of what you're getting. There is obviously the usual, things like this. You've got a rather weird picture of 3/4 of a guy in there, which must be some sort of paint guide, but it's not really an appropriate soldier for a paint guide. Tells you there's 14 figures, and like I say, the manufacturer Waterloo 1815 Folgore Division. If my Italian's not brilliant, it's because I'm from the northeast of England, that is, not Italy. And yeah, 1942. So yeah, this is on the run-up and just after the Battle of El Alamein. Now the Folgore Division, as far as I know, which are a paratroop division, were involved in the first Battle of El Alamein and the second Battle of El Alamein. So don't let that 1942 put you off. I don't think there's much difference or anything lacking in equipment or whatever for those years. It also gives you a run-up of the series of other figures there, and just stating, and it's quite good. If you look here now, there's so many manufacturers that are using old molds, and you just don't know what you're getting. But you can see here, Italian Infantry, World War II, ex-Airfix. And I think that's very important to do that, because on my videos I'll try and point out when the review I'm doing isn't what a rehash, and if it is, I'll tell you. But on this box there, it's just got a run-up of other figures, and it's got their World War II ex-Airfix, so that's quite a nice touch. So very important, and they're made in Italy, and that's probably why we've got a lot of Italian troops. But crikey, why not? So that's part of the reason I'm reviewing this, and I think the quality of the box is really good. So I will say it cost me about £14 to £15. It wasn't cheap, but you do get some quite good stuff. So let's kick off with this. I might have to adjust my... I know we're zooming in quite well here actually. Now, it's unfortunately, they are quite white, these figures. They're about a cream, so it's probably not coming through brilliantly. He's got a breeder 6.5mm machine gun on the left, and he's got a Beretta submachine gun on the right. Paratrooper's helmet with the cover. He hasn't got the cover, but you can quite clearly see that that is a paratrooper's helmet. It's actually got the rivets in and around the side, probably for the chin strap. And he's got the cover. Just see that? Yeah, that's quite good. And he's not wearing his shirt. Well, obviously it's hot in the desert. And equipment wise, obviously not carrying loads because it is the desert, but he's got what he needs. He's got his water bottle, he's got a tunic on, a similar type German style weapon. But yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. The detail isn't bad. You can just about see a hole there where his arm is. That probably just needs a little bit of touching up. Any other manufacturer, that'd just be one bit. But not bad. Flick it over, and here we have the officer. I've sort of worked out this is a Beretta 1935 pistol. Obviously it came into manufacture about 1937, but I think that's what that is. He's got his binos, nice Italian tunic. They did have nice uniforms. Knife. And there we go, there's another paratrooper there with his Beretta submachine gun. And they've got some nice poses there. You could just see him just hiding behind a little bit of cover. So I quite like that pose. And there's nice tunics. Both of them have got nice tunics on there. I mean, pose wise, I guess this chap with the machine gun just looks like he's looking for a target more than anything. Again, that's quite a... I could see that pose being quite useful. They look like they're poised to attack. So it's quite a useful sort of pose. So quite digging that. Now here we have our guy throwing what is called P-bombs, which are homemade, sort of like Molotov cocktails. And these were quite effective against some of the British armour they'd come against, mainly because the 47mm anti-tank gun wasn't abundant, and the idea with the Italians was they'll mine a whole stretch. Obviously the British will try and come through a narrow area in the tanks and they'll just ambush them with the 47mm or a homemade P-bomb, and it would prove quite effective. The paratroopers certainly had some quite good successes against the British. Unfortunately, at the end, I think it was about 1942, they were wiped out. British pretty much wiped them out, but they fought very well. Again, he must be an officer. He's got a pistol here, and he's obviously just saying to the lads, come on, this is how you do it. Again, paratrooper's helmet. He's got the lovely sort of pith helmet, which was very appropriate in that climate. And you'll see lots of images on Google with the Folgore wearing these hats as well. Again, the MG is a Breeder 30, 6.5mm. So that put a few rounds down. It's actually a magazine that's inside. It's almost like the FG42 in that sense. So you would actually put a magazine in there. Now whether it's belt fed as well, it probably is. But on the models I've seen, it has been a magazine. So the movement on the figure, they definitely look like they're moving. It's very hard. A grenade guy is so hard for manufacturers to do. But I don't think that's too bad. I mean, I quite like this chap, he's quite good. Very, very good. Strange sort of base. There's obviously a reason for this, and I don't know what it is. If someone wants to tell me why they are sort of double stacked, go ahead please. I haven't got any idea at the minute. The helmet is correct there. It's got this bit of padding here. If you can just see that, I'll bring it up close. So I looked at those online, that is correct. Yeah, nice figures. Into focus. And here we go. So here's a proper grenade guy, and he's got a Breeder Model 42 grenade, which has like a stick on the end of that thing. It looks like a toffee apple, if that's the best way to describe it. Very nice. He's got his weapon there. Probably the pose isn't fully amazing. He almost looks like he's been shot in a way, but it's not a bad effort. Nice. Paratrooper's helmet, but he's got the cover on. A nice model of the gun. I think that's quite good. Now there's a couple of repeats in this, so obviously I'm not going to bother showing you all the repeats. I've actually got two officers which I don't need. That's another sprue there, which is almost identical. In fact, it is identical. So yeah, basically I've got two officers. I've not taken these off the sprue. I probably should have. And another thing is I've got damage here, so this is obviously come out of the factory like this. So he's actually lost his arm, and that's the same guy that I just showed you earlier. This is how he should look. So that's a bit of a shame. So I've got two of those guys. Flip it over. I've got two each of those. Two officers which I don't need. Two of those guys. Flip it over. To each of those. So all in all 14 figures. So I think I'll give this, they're not bad quality. The plastic will snap, yeah, there's no doubt about it. That's, for instance, this gun here, that will snap. You couldn't really keep these in a box with some of the toy soldiers and rummage around it like we all used to do when we were kids. That will probably snap. You know, I'm not going to go too mad, but I'd rather see a good decent barrel like that than, you know, just have it sort of moulded into the arm or something. I mean, that's great. So I've got no problems with that. You just got to take care of them, really. But that said, there's still a good bit of flex in there. So I'm quite sort of happy with these. I think they're not a bad set. I think the subject matter is great. The Italian troops and the paratroopers, it's just fantastic. And I look forward to seeing more releases from Waterloo. And I'll just keep my eyes peeled. But I think these are really good. So probably just the fact that I've got two officers. I don't need two officers. I mean, they're very nice, almost reminiscent of the Airfix Italian officer, but very, very good. Nice smart uniforms. and quite clear. The detail's quite clear. You'll have fun painting these. They look quite easy to paint. So all in all, I think the only disappointment with the box is, you know, sort of that. I mean, that doesn't tell you anything really, does it? There's a stick man that's in 14 pieces. I mean, you can't get any more basic than that. But I mean, the front, you know, I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a great looking box. Although not true to what the contents are, it's great. Now, like I say, I picked this up for about 14-15 quid. I'm sure you can get it cheaper than that. I just thought, you know, bugger it, I'll go and have a look at these. But it's a nice illustration and good subject matter. In terms of what soldiers would you put against these? 132 Desert Rats stroke 8th Army. The best set is probably the old Matchbox set, which is no longer in production. Now, I've seen a lot of copies, but that's not the real McCoy, and I don't think anyone's taken up that mould as far as I know. Let me know if someone has, but I think the Matchbox 8th Army set is a really good set. It probably beats the Airfix one. The Airfix poses are a little bit static, but that Matchbox 8th Army set just sort of really turned the corner, and that would be a great set to put up against these. So that was my review of the Folgore Division, Infantry 1942 by Waterloo 1815, an Italian company, and they're doing a good job. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Lascio mamma la dolce casetta, la mia piccola bimba d'amor, ed afferro il destino che aspetta per segnare di gloria il mio cor, e nei petti, nel sangue di tutti, un sol grido l'impero schierrà. Avanti, gloriose fiere, pianteremo le bandiere tricolori, apra l'Africa un sol nome Roma, che è il gran nome dell'eterna civiltà. Tu mi baci, o fanciulla gentile, e mi dici con te partirò. Dammi solo il tuo amore, un fucile, il coraggio e la fede l'avrò. Sono donna d'Italia e non lascio che all'Italia un impero darà. Avanti, gloriose fiere, pianteremo le bandiere tricolori, parla l'Africa un sol nome Roma, che è il gran nome dell'eterna civiltà. Ricordo dei vecchi soldati che da luce sul nuovo cammin, tanti militi a piedi